Hello, one. Hello, all. We are broadcasting live from the NBC Sports California World Headquarters in San Francisco. A little bit farther south in our state tonight, the Sharks played a hockey game, their 50th of this season, and it turned out to be their 7th consecutive loss. As I was walking upstairs here a couple minutes ago, the frustration sunk in with me and the realization that I might be repetitive on tonight's live stream. And I hate doing that. I feel like it's not original thoughts I'm bringing to the table, but the Sharks have not now won a game since January 26th, which is misleading. Not as many games as you might think, but it's been a while since they've won. I wish that's what we could talk about tonight. Instead, we've got a 4-3 shootout loss to discuss. So let's jump right into it. Little Sharks, night shift.
Broadcasting live and worldwide. Here's Brody Brazil.
So the Sharks didn't score first. They got the next two. They played in a seesaw game. No scoring in the third period. We were tied at 3 after 2 here on 2/22/2022. You know what I just realized? We were on TV not long ago at 10:22 p.m., which in military time is 22:22. So I think we were on TV at 22:22 and 22 seconds here on 2/22/2022. Okay, whatever. Enough of that, Brazil. I wish the end result was different. I wish that we had a Sharks win to discuss, because at several points of tonight, not only did the scoreboard indicate that could happen, but you just felt like the effort was better tonight. This was more reminiscent of one of the first 3 losses of this streak, all on the road. Sharks going up against difficult opponents. They played them well. They lost those games, by 1 goal. And they were respectable finishes, and even the losses came with a bit of the whole moral victory factor. Tonight, probably a moral victory, in a sense that you literally and figuratively fought your way back into this game, fought through it. Not everything went your way, and I think the boarding calls one way but not the other. I'm not here to make excuses or say that's a reason for the difference, but look, it comes down to a skills competition. That's truly my takeaway from all this. It was a tie game. 3-on-3 overtime, didn't prove anything for 5 minutes. Zegras and Hertl were good, and the Sharks just couldn't find the back of the net in the shootout. Anthony Stolarz, I also thought, was exceptional tonight, especially on some of the breakaway chances for San Jose. We discussed at length the struggles of Noah Gregor, not just tonight, but this entire season. A player who creates the opportunities, but just can't convert on them on a regular basis. And so through 50 games, the Sharks are at 50 points. It's 500 hockey, which this time around puts you in 7th place in the division. 7-game losing streak out of 50 total games. I mean, you understand that makes up a large fraction. That's a large piece of your pie, this losing skid alone. Not to mention the last 4 defeats have come at the hands of other Pacific Division clubs. Now, the Sharks are going to get away from the division with the Islanders and Bruins, but then go right back to it with the Kraken and Golden Knights. And it was these set of games that we were looking forward to this season. It was, Sharks versus the East, Sharks versus the Metro, Sharks versus all these teams that don't really matter. All that matters is the Pacific Division. And now we're getting to those teams, and it feels like, and it looks like, they're struggling the most. Sharks have now also lost 11 of their last 13 games, but some nights the effort and the execution are there, and the results haven't been. Tonight, I think, was that case. This certainly wasn't the same feel of getting shut out by Edmonton 3-0, and you had really 0 going on in the game. I think in that game, Sharks had 4 shots on goal in the first period alone. Tonight was not that at all. They were engaged. They won faceoffs. Looked good on the power play. It's always great when your captain scores twice. Brent Burns part of 3 goals. Those are winning recipes for the Sharks. Tonight just wasn't enough in facing the Ducks. I feel guilty. I feel guilty. I could go into a long list of things here, but I feel like I've said them all before. I suppose that is the frustration of being in a 7-game skid. The last 6 or so times I've done this, or have I done all 7 of them like this? Basically, I've been talking about the same things. So let's switch gears before I get into comments, which I will hit earlier than later tonight. Rinne Dzingel. Overall solid addition. I think for the timing and the situation, the fact that you could get him like that. He was a Arizona Coyote literally on Friday. And over the weekend, he's a Maple Leaf. Couldn't figure out what exactly they were doing there other than trying to sneak him onto the team. You had to expose him to waivers. Sharks said, nope, we'll take that. So they sign him. They use him. Drew a penalty in overtime. How about that? Rinne Dzingel, one of the players selected to be out on the ice in overtime. What does that tell you about Bob Boughner and the chance they want to give the new number 14? Right? I mean, I think that speaks volumes. Putting him on the second line to start the game, having him play in overtime. He drew a penalty to make it 4-on-3, which, by the way, I think there's a whole separate rant here to be had. And Bob Boughner actually touched on this after the game. The 4-on-3 in overtime, I don't feel like it's an advantage. And he kind of agreed with that too. I've been saying this for a while. There's 2 things about overtime that are rough. One of them is if you draw a penalty and it's 4-on-3, the geometry of a square versus a triangle, that square is not as beneficial versus that triangle. Like 3-on-3 is great. 5-on-4 is a different, shape. There's all these different combinations, but obviously in a power play situation, 5-on-4 seems to give you an advantage, right? You kind of draw your perimeter around the square or the 1-2-1 that they're going to make, or the diamond. But the square versus the triangle, the square of the 4 versus the triangle of the 3, it's not as advantageous as it could be. And the other part about 3-on-3 overtimes in the NHL, maybe I should just make this video separately eventually, but I feel like it should go into basketball rules. Once you take the puck into the attacking end of the ice, once you cross the red line, you can't come back out. Now, you can come in and out of your offensive zone, but now you're not going to want to do that as much because you're going to be trapped in half the neutral zone, right? So you can take the puck in and out of your own offensive zone, cross the blue line, bring it back out. But once you cross the red line with the puck, you can't use that full sheet of ice, which I know may not please everybody, but I think from a strategy perspective, this has become such a puck possession thing, 3-on-3. I still like 3-on-3. I really do. I feel like it's an okay way to end games in this league, in this era. But the shootout tonight, I don't know. Again, we watched a closely contested hockey game be decided on one-on-one play, and the Ducks were good, and the Sharks couldn't score that way. So there's your ball game. Anyway, was that my rant? Is that where I was even going with all that, I suppose? But anyway, let's go ahead and get to some comments here. Let me try and scroll all the way back for just a second here. Let me begin with one of the channel favorites here, Maddie, saying, our goalie situation is underdeveloped purely because they don't want to give anyone other than Reimer a start. It's not a good idea to burn Reimer out when he can hold games together. Well, I don't know the answer to this, but I have been curious. Zach Sawchenko has been backing up and has been there since at least the beginning of January now, right? Because Reimer's been in and out, Adin Hill's been in and out. So we're talking 2 full months that Sawchenko has been looming, and he's just not getting the opportunity. And I'm not here to say Reimer has been bad at all. I like James Reimer. I like the things he's done. I like the consistency he's shown this season. And I don't think right now, by any means, I don't think he's playing his best right now. But he's not the reason they're losing. He helps them way more than he hinders them, no question. But I feel like this sequence right now, when you've lost 8 in a row, this would be one of those opportunities to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to switch up the pace here. We're going to try something different. We'll put Adin Hill in tonight, but they can't do that. Adin Hill now on the IR. This is your chance to throw Sawchenko a bone. Let's just see what happens. Unless you feel totally different, that there's a reason you're not going to play him, or you're that confident in Reimer. I'm just saying, fresh coat of paint sometimes. Again, none of this is to detract from James Reimer. I wouldn't do this in spite of James Reimer at all. I would just do this because you're not on a 7-game losing skid that often. You don't like to be on one. He's now made 9 straight starts. James Reimer, 9 consecutive starts. And to the point here, maybe a burnout, just a mental break, the opportunity to just sit and watch a game. Maybe that helps. Wheezing Long stating, what is, reality, but what's also probably the obvious? Kiss our playoff hopes goodbye if stuff doesn't change fast. No doubt. I mean, there's still a handful of enough games to play and do well against the division, but you understand it's got to be a 180 compared to what we've seen recently here. I'll give an honest thought. I hate saying Reimer needs a break. These guys are pro hockey players. They should be conditioned for stretches like this. Same thing for basketball. But I'm here to take that and say, yes, I agree. But when you say conditioned, you're talking about physical conditioning. I'm talking about sometimes you take the player mentally out of this for a second. And sometimes that one game, those couple extra days, that opportunity, and especially when you get into a season like this, you're 50 games in, sometimes that one game of watching it from upstairs magically gives you a second wind, a breath of fresh air, the mental side of it. I'm not talking about the physical side. I don't think Reimer is telling you here, oh, I can't get up. My legs are too tired to make that kick save. No, it's not that. I think it's the mental reprieve that we're talking about here. And Maddie follows up by saying, and please don't take this as me blaming Reimer. And I did not. And I agree with you. It's not his fault he's being overworked well and stretched thin. I don't even know if it's that. I'm just saying everybody deserves the opportunity to hit the reset button. And to your point, he needs a break, and they need to take a chance on Sawchenko. He's collecting dust too. That's another good point. How many minutes has Sawchenko seen? How many starts does he have with the Sharks? How much opportunity has he been thrown in the last 2 months? I mean, everybody needs a break at some point, no matter what their job is. Even the pregame and the postgame host. Wheezing Long's all over the comments tonight. We do have a lot of young players. A short rebuild would be enough. I think a lot of people are looking at this season and kind of struggling through it as another sign, another opportunity to circle back on, okay, what's the bigger picture here? And this year did enough strides, were enough strides made? And I think there's two ways about it. Again, the casual Sharks fan is going to sit back and say, oh, playoffs or not? And if the answer is no, well, you didn't do enough. I think other Sharks fans are going to look at it and say, okay, let's see what Jonathan Dahlen did this year. Speak of the devil. I don't mean to put it like that, but speaking of Dahlen, a healthy scratch tonight, was on the 4th line last game. But still 32 games to come back and earn a role and develop, and that's what I'm talking about with Reimer. You're not trying to discipline Jonathan Dahlen. You're not trying to put him in his place by scratching him tonight. You're trying to give him the mental reset he needs. Same thing with Reimer. Wow, Morbital going hard on Bob Boughner. Needs to be fired. Stop making excuses for him. I'm just going to go back to what my deepest belief is regarding Bob, and that is, if he were handed a playoff contender, turnkey here, if he were handed something that no doubt should give you a specific result, right? You look at the roster, you say, that's a playoff team. Okay, or that is for sure a contender. And they weren't what he was supposed to deliver with them. Okay. I don't know, what did you consider this Sharks team at the beginning of the season? Did you consider them to be in the playoffs? Maybe some people did. Did you consider them to be a contender? I think a lot more people actually did that. And maybe they're on the outside of contending looking in. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's the answer. Maybe he was handed something that is not coming to fruition. But maybe not everybody felt that way. Maybe I was being a little bit more optimistic and thinking that they could, break the non-playoff streak. Samesies, you can always talk about Dzingel. Alden, were you talking to me there? Or were you talking to somebody else? Like the way he played. Yeah, and it's hard. I gotta, he's been with now 5 teams in the last 2 seasons. So changing jerseys, changing sweaters, not something new for Ryan Dzingel. In fact, I think, it's crazy. Patrick Marleau, the first time he came back to SAP Center as a Leaf, I said, what's the biggest thing you've learned with this change of scenery? I'll never forget that question, and I'll never forget his answer. It was something to the extent of, I've never been traded before. I've never had to move before. For being a pro hockey player, he had only known one thing. Meantime, think of the hundreds upon hundreds, if not thousands of players he had been with that had come and gone, right? So he said, I have a newfound respect for players and how hard it is to switch teams and to journey through this career when he never had to do it. So what I'm saying about Dzingel, although it's not new to him, the fact that you come in, you make an immediate impact, you get put in these roles, and you have fans wanting to see more. Now, his game can't have a honeymoon period here. He can't tail away, can't be less productive, can't be less quick, can't be, he's got to play more games like tonight, and I think Sharks fans will like him. All right, let's see here. Yeah, Craig with a comment that's true and frustrating all in the same breath. We've played a lot of backup goalies and make them look all world. And you think about the combo, the goalie tandem they have down there right now in Anaheim with Stolarz as the backup. Think about that for a second. Brody, Kanye put me on Donda 2. Am I even saying that right? I've seen that written out. I don't know if I've heard anybody talk about Donda 2. Did I also read on Twitter tonight that Kanye sampled the vice president? He sampled Kamala Harris? I don't even know in what context or how or why or what song is that? I'm curious. I got to hear it now, yeah. Michael's been noticing on TV a lot of empty seats in the tank. Well, tonight, was in Anaheim. Live in Vegas. The Sharks are as popular in the Bay Area as the Knights people, Golden Knights people. They go nuts here for the Knights. Obsessed with hockey here in Vegas. I think what you're saying is what, has been discussed. And actually, Jonathan Becker, Sharks president, he's going to do a media availability tomorrow. And I'm sure that topic is going to come up. I think I know what some answers might be, but I would love to hear it in his own words. And by the way, we're also working to have him join us on our pregame show on Thursday. And that topic will come up. And I think we're all looking for reasons. What is it exactly that is happening? What are the Sharks finding? I think the numbers are... It may not be a surprise that all things considered, the numbers are lower than normal. But I think the numbers are also significantly lower than normal right now, attendance-wise at SAP Center. So let's work on getting some answers. I agree, and I think the observation is noted. It's definitely noted. And it looks like the Ducks Arena wasn't very full. This is, it's still a different time. It's still a different time. The Cali teams are having issues filling seats with the mandates at the moment. I don't know. It's sport by sport seems to be different. Regions sometimes seem to be different. I know there's a lot of people that feel like they can instantly put their finger on it, but it's not as simple as that. Can we start a GoFundMe for Gregor to buy him a goal? Dude has been working his butt off and absolutely has been snake bitten. It's got to be frustrating for him. I think too, Alden, and we talked about it on TV a little bit, but to get all those chances is so builds you up but to not convert on a certain amount of them is so tear you down that it almost is counterintuitive, right? You're thinking, hey, I'm right in this. I'm knocking on the door. But when you keep knocking on the door and keep knocking on the door, I hate to use this comparison because it's going to sting all of us. It's like the Sharks' playoff chances of the 2010s. Knocking on the door. This is the year. Couldn't get it. Something else happens. You get robbed. You run out of luck. And I think and we know how that frustration built over a certain period of time. But I think to keep getting those opportunities is all you can ask for. To probably not think about it as much, which is impossible. What else are you supposed to think about? You're that close to having 5, 6, 7, 12 more goals this year. It's hard not to think about that. It's hard to put that out of your mind. But I think some of the points that were made tonight, were really good in a sense of just don't rush it, right? It's so human nature to be in the spotlight, to be in the moment, pucks on your tape, and trying to do everything you can to score. Like, score now, rush. It's kind of like us as presenters on television. I talk fast sometimes on the TV show, and I don't mean to. But I get so excited. I get so caught up in the moment. I get so, head and brain and mouth aren't all working at the same speed. Same thing with skaters, legs and feet and hands and eyes and brain. And I'm not saying like he's not missing the net all the time, but I wonder sometimes for him if like a tick more patience was the ultimate difference. So not like not like I know the answer. I mean, certainly if coaches had the answer, like do this one thing just a little bit different or better and you'll score. They would tell him, he would do it. Bingo. Problem solved. Noah Gregor's a 25 goal scorer every season. So Brandon, wow. Dzingel went from Arizona to the Sharks. Actually, he went from Arizona to the Leafs, to the Sharks. So I'll disagree with your comment. Bob, that's another good question. Why is Merkley not cracking the lineup? I don't know. I would say the 6 in there tonight. If are they saying that these are the top 6? That this is the first 6 we're going to roll with? Maybe. Is that a fresh tan? Did I look tan tonight? Is it not? Is it like the color of the camera off or something? Is the lighting in here different? Is my face just redder than normal? There's no tan. And by the way, I've not worn makeup once this season on Sharks hockey. That's something that in my career, like 15 years ago, or when I was getting started in the early 2000s. Makeup all the time, just to perfect the skin a little bit, get the oiliness and the shininess off, and cover up any blemishes or scratches or cuts or whatever. But I don't even wear makeup anymore. And it's not that I don't care about the product. I don't know. I'm kind of over that part. So I don't know how I got into that. The tan, I guess. Let me see what other comments are here. Doug Wilson definitely needs to hit the reset button. I mean, I think after nights like tonight too, you're more inclined to say those things, but we'll see how this season goes. 50 games in, I think we know who these guys are. 32 games left, there's enough time to make a statement, to prove something, to play for something. There really is. But those 32 games are going to go by pretty quick. In fact, starting tonight, it was a 5-game and 8-night span. So things are going to get moving here pretty quickly. So tired of the fire Boughner takes. I agree. Well, Bob Jackson says Bob Boughner's trying to make chicken salad with chicken poop. Wow, you didn't even curse on there, Bob. I would have flashed it on the screen. It's all right. Let me see what else we got here. Andrew from Japan. Buddy, I always appreciate you checking in. We got to stop this, quote, this year might be good and failing routine. I think that you look at who the Sharks have on their roster and you instantly think, all right, that's good enough, but you don't realize it's hard. And when you don't have some of them due to injury, And you need a good team, not just a couple good players. You need a good team in this league. I hate to say it, and I don't have any pride in mentioning this, but the Ducks, I like where they're at. I like the players they brought in. I don't know what their cap situation is compared to the Sharks. Got to be lower, right? And I'm not sitting here saying, well, I'm jealous of that, but I like kind of what they've done. Doesn't mean they're going to get to where both clubs want to be any faster, but I see what they're doing. All right, let's see what else we got here, and then I'm probably going to sign off here. I at least we got a point. Maybe that's the one to end it on. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that same results, a lot of the same stories. This was different tonight. I get it. This was totally different than the prior three. Like the 7 games have gone like this. 3 respectable losses, 12 days off, then 3 frustrating, pretty bad losses, and then tonight back to a respectable loss. So if you believe in the trends and if you believe in seeing how a game gets better before you get the result, then maybe that's the case tonight. Maybe they're going to play their butts off against the Islanders, get 2 points there, beat the Bruins. I don't know. You get the Kraken, the Golden Knights coming up. So then you have that sequence again where you're going from worst team in the division who's already beat you twice to one of the best in class. I got to see this comment here. I make you less depressed. Look, I'm frustrated too. I'm trying to be realistic about this. I think you have to sit back here and say, playoffs at this point, you might be letting it go right now. You might be. Because you're going to need an equal amount of, as much of the losing's gone on and this streak and honestly, a rough January into February, as much of that has gone on, you're going to need something equal to greater than that in the final 32 games. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying let's be realistic about it. But beyond that, if you're not going to make the playoffs, at least show signs of, okay, this is solid for next year. That is good for next year. This is a piece to build around. There's the Hertl comments. I see a couple of them. I've summed it up before, and I think I'm probably going to make a separate video on this later. Or maybe I could just do it here and now. The situation is like this with Tomas Hertl and the deadline and re-signing him or potentially not. You just need to get something out of Tomas Hertl. You like the player. He says he likes playing in San Jose, but March 21st is now less than a month away. You need to go into that date understanding, okay, we can re-sign him. We haven't yet, maybe, but we can and we will. Or if you know that you can't re-sign him, you got to get something back. The Tomas Hertl situation right now, I know is a conversation point for Sharks fans, but it should eventually turn out to be a positive one way or another. The 2 positives are simple. There's 2 options here. Number 1, re-sign Hertl for a deal that makes the team and the player happy. Great. Somebody you like. Somebody who's going to hopefully do well in his next contract. The other one is not my favorite to mention because I like the individual. But maybe if his intentions are to play somewhere else, he wants that chance, that opportunity, okay. If you know he's not going to come back, or if you're pretty sure that you're not going to be able to be the team to sign his next deal, then you've got to trade him. You've got to get something back for the future. And don't tell me right now there aren't teams that would want him for his current contract. He fits under a lot of caps. Centerman could be a winger, playoff experience, been to a Stanley Cup final. I mean, I don't need to sell the guy. You know what he's all about. So something good needs to happen as a result of Tomas Hertl. Either you keep him and you like him and you're happy about that, or you get some pieces back in return for his departure. So That's how I look at it. Aaron, I appreciate you being here on the super chat. Thank you so much for that, by the way. It's important for me to mention that all the revenue, all the super chat stuff for this channel goes right back into the channel itself. I've put a lot into it, actually, so getting some back certainly doesn't hurt. Why does everyone think everything is going to be okay? We're not okay right now. We need to step up. I mean, that's a simple and realistic and honest observation. I'm not here to tell you everything is okay right now. Sometimes you can see a team getting out of a funk before the results start to happen, and I think that was a step tonight. But the result didn't happen, and you've got more difficult teams ahead on the schedule. At this point, it almost doesn't matter who the Sharks are about to play. It almost matters more about where's their game at. Where's their performance at? Where's their energy at? Where's their, whatever they're bringing to the table. It's almost like, I don't care if you're taking on, the Sharks are taking on Team Canada in the Olympics. Like, doesn't matter who's on that roster. It's been more about kind of the Sharks' inconsistencies, their faults, their struggles. Every team in this league is difficult to a certain extent, at least to a baseline extent. All right. I think now that might be it. I'm glad I stayed for Aaron's comments. I genuinely think this is a team, I genuinely think this team is overachieving even as a 500 team. So many analysts in the media and public had the Sharks as worse than this. I don't know. I think this is probably, expectations were all across the board. So, and realistically, go back and look at their first 2 months. There were really encouraging signs there. Are they the same team as they were back then? What has dramatically changed? I don't know. It's really hard to say. So, based on the beginning of this year to now, I think I don't know. Were they really overachieving back then? What happens first, my next birthday or Noah? Oh, AJ. By the way, my birthday is not until April 3rd. So that if he doesn't score by April 3rd, something going on here. All right. There's a good idea. Sign Brazil number 6 to the roster. All right, that's definitely. I know we're all getting too desert dogged out here. We're all too drunk if that's our comment. Oh, I can't even play my soundboard. Play. There you go. One more time. Dun, 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 dun. Watch, I'll do it. Ready? Put it on here. Push that button right there. Simple as that. All right. I really do appreciate everybody being here tonight. Tough loss. I've been saying that a lot. Frustrating. Been saying that a lot. They'll snap out of it eventually. But losing 7 in a row, losing 11 of 13. This goes to show you, they're 50 points in 50 games. Kind of got away from that pace of being a 90-something point team right now. But that's probably what it's going to take to be a wild card spot. Yeah, I'm out of gas. I'm out of ideas. Probably feeling how you are too. So hey, don't forget to thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I've got a bunch of new stuff coming out soon, so make sure you come back here to my channel on YouTube. Until then, have a good night.